I really enjoy ticks. I'm a veterinarian, and so I've always cared about animal health. And of course, ticks have such an incredible impact on human health and animal health that it's a really good area of research focus. And then I just find ticks fascinating also, so that helps too.
And you're busier than normal this year
We
studying
are.
ticks?
That's right. That's right. I think many of the viewers probably have the impression that there's higher tick numbers this year than in previous years, and that's an accurate impression. Also based on the fact that they came out earlier this year because we had such a mild winter. And the drought has largely resolved or is resolving, and so that higher precipitation supports the ticks. One thing that really knocks tick numbers back is a drought. They're prone to desiccation. And so with the higher levels of humidity that we have, the ticks are doing very well.
And it's not just Oklahoma, it's kind of the entire country, but I understand we're sort of the epicenter of tick country, if you will.
Right. That's right. We have seen tick blooms, higher tick numbers, tick activity reported all over the U.S. And there's a variety of factors that lead to that. When we have higher mast crop, better feed for the wildlife, better acorn crops a couple years ago, a year or two ago, then there's more wildlife and they're doing better, and so there's more for the ticks to feed on, and that'll lead to higher tick numbers.
And let's talk a little bit about what humans need to be aware of, some of the diseases and some of the symptoms. It's always good to go over that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Oklahoma is a center for ticks and tick-borne diseases. Oklahoma State University, of course, is very well known for its research into ticks and tick-borne diseases, and has been for the last 50, 60 years. So it's an established area of expertise. But we also have in the state of Oklahoma more cases of Rocky Mountain spotted fever and ehrlichiosis per capita than any other state. And so tick-borne diseases really matter for the people that live in Oklahoma, particularly eastern Oklahoma, where the habitat's good for ticks. The classic symptoms that we worry about with Rocky Mountain spotted fever and ehrlichiosis are usually symptoms that appear in a constellation of three: fever, severe headache, and a rash. And when you have those symptoms and you've had a history of a tick bite or exposure to ticks in the last 1 to 2 weeks, it's really important to go see a physician and get treated appropriately with antibiotics. But dogs get the same tick-borne disease as people do. And so if your dog becomes very lethargic, seems to be just depressed, not feeling well, maybe has some muscle pain, and he's had a history of tick bites, it's really important to get to a veterinarian. These diseases are potentially fatal.
Okay, what about larger animals, livestock and horses, cows, things like that?
Right. You know, cattle are routinely protected from ticks. There's a lot of effort for tick control on cattle, and a lot of the same products we use for fly control can also be used for tick control on cattle. But ticks are a big problem. There's significant economic damage to cattle production, and so we have to be vigilant about tick control on cattle. Horses are a bigger challenge. We don't have great long-lasting tick control products on horses the way we do on dogs.
And you have a tick you want to show us some of the common ticks that we see in Oklahoma?
We do. This first tick that I'll show you is called Amblyomma americanum. She's the Lone Star tick. And you can see on her back is that white spot, and that's where she gets her name, Lone Star tick, because she has that single white spot on her back. And this tick is the most common tick on people, on dogs, on cattle, on horses in Oklahoma. So this tick, this is a different tick. This is the Gulf Coast tick, and it's known to transmit another spotted fever group like bacteria, so it causes disease similar to Rocky Mountain spotted fever, although not quite as severe. And it's much larger, and it has quite a painful bite when those mouth parts get inserted. It's a very uncomfortable bite.
What's the best way to remove a tick, and how often do you need to be checking?
Right. Well, you know, to remove a tick, you definitely want to use forceps, tweezers, and you just grasp the tick close to the mouth parts where it's attached to the animal or to the person, and then steady rearward traction, and it'll release its mouth parts. If you break off the mouth parts, it's not a disaster. It's just that it will create more inflammation, so the person or the dog might itch longer in that spot where the tick was attached. But it's still, the body will treat it as if it's a splinter or any other foreign material. We don't recommend that you use any chemicals on the tick. It's not recommended that you cover them with Vaseline or cover them with kerosene or anything like that, or that you use a hot match or a lit cigarette. Now, if your dog comes back from a day running around in the woods and has scores or hundreds of ticks, then that's a good time to go visit your veterinarian and use a chemical means of control.
And as far as protecting ourselves, make sure you spray yourself before you go out and about, even in your yard?
Yeah, that's the problem, is that for many of us, you know, CDC says to avoid tick-infested areas. for many of us, that's our front yard, our backyard, and our side yards. And so we don't really have the opportunity to enjoy the outdoors and avoid tick-infested areas. So it's recommended to use repellents. DEET and permethrin are the two best known and have been used for years, repellents. It's also recommended to wear protective clothing. And so when we take, my husband and I have 10-year-old twins, and when we take them out hiking or backpacking, camping, then they know they're going to wear long pants and long shirts and put tape around the waistband of the pants in the heavy tick times of the year, tape the pant legs to the boots, and that will keep the ticks from coming up. It's common folklore that ticks drop from trees, but that's not true. They come up from the leaf litter, they come up from the grass, and so you really want to protect your feet with boots and your pant legs by taping them to your boots.
Okay. Dr. Susan Little, thank you very much, sort of our tick guru of Oklahoma State. I'm sure we could say we appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you all coming out today.